Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Brains and Baubles Live with your host, me, Davina Dandridge. And every week I bring on a guest or even I talk about some of the ways that emotional intelligence impacts my life every day. And when I tell you the guests that I'm bringing on now are people that I know, people that I've worked with, people who mean really something to my life. And I know that they are applying emotional intelligence and my technique of emotional intelligence in some way in their life, and they are here to share it with you. So, my guest today is no exception. And when I tell you this person could sell sand at the beach, I'm not joking. I actually met this person working, and as a grown person, you don't think that you're going to meet friends at work. I didn't, after a certain point, I didn't go into work thinking that I was going to meet someone who would become so close to me that we consider ourselves sisters. But this person was one of the maybe three people that's happened to me with them. So without further, without further ado, here is my friend, and she is a dynamic woman in her own right, and it has motivation in a way that you cannot believe. And we're going to talk about some of the ways that she uses that motivation to fuel her, and she uses that motivation to just be a light in people's lives. So without further ado, let me introduce my friend Amy Focht, and I'm going to let her in right now. Oh, listen, wait until you meet Amy. Come on through, Amy.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't see you yet.
Um,
There you are. Yes. Hi, Amy. You look beautiful. Your background is so flossy.
I cannot hear you.
Oh,
Give me one moment.
okay.
Now I can. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm definitely
Okay. Well, no.
an
Hey, that's
IT
okay,
specialist.
Amy. That's why we are in the world of editing.
Here we go. Oh, thank God. Okay. I'm,
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
listen, I just introduced you as the person who could sell sand
Oh
at
my
the
God.
beach. And, that's really what I love about you, Amy. You are the same all the time. And I think when we talked the other day, I was asking you, like, I know what you've gone through in some areas of your life. And so I'm like, but you're never different. You're always energetic, bubbly, willing to help, empathetic, which is a great quality. How do you do that? Just tell us how, you've been through the pandemic. I posted earlier about loss, and I'm sure that you've lost relationships or jobs or people in your life for whatever reason, but you remain the same. And we talked about that. Do you remember what you said?
I don't remember exactly, but
Listen, it is the key to building and maintaining successful relationships. I
yeah.
call it the self gut check method that I created. But what you said is sometimes I have to be fake about it.
Yes. Yep.
And that's what it is. And it's not that you're being fake. I don't say you're being fake. I just think that you just are aware that you can't just put it all out there.
Exactly. You know, I when we were talking the other day, there's so much to be negative about in today's climate. I mean, the economy, politically, the pandemic, now you've got your health, you've got your family's health. I mean, just
Yeah.
everything. And when we were talking, I said, it's just so easy to be stuck in that negative bubble.
Yes.
And what we really need to do is just, I try to be grateful. I try to be just kind of check myself.
Yes.
Not that we don't always have days to vent or,
Mhm.
but I think we were talking and I said, sometimes when something happens and you kind of reach the end of the rope, you have your pity party and then you let it all out, which is completely healthy. And then you get over it. Okay.
Right.
You got to have
Right.
a perception to move forward and pull up your bootstraps and keep going. And I try. So thank you. I'm glad that I come across that way. But um, just sometimes you just have to be real with yourself and say, look, worrying or being upset about my current situation, whatever it is. I know we talked professionally when I first moved to Arizona almost 7 years ago. I had a really rough time professionally. And it was honestly, it was one thing after another.
And you were here by yourself too.
Yes, I moved by myself.
Yes. Now, before we get into that story, because that's a very interesting story, I do want to go back and talk about, what you were saying about recognizing that, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's the self-awareness piece that I think is missing now, because so many people have joined in with the idea that it's okay to own a bad feeling or own a bad situation and wear it on like a badge of honor, instead of just working on a way to solve the problem and move past it. And sometimes it does require you to just feel the emotion, right? And then once you feel it, then you get over it. And I'm not saying that to minimize anyone's situation, but for every situation, there comes a moment where you have to make a plan to get through that thing. And now that we say that, I do know the transition you had to make, because when we met, let me tell you, I remember when we met. Well, is it okay if I share what you do?
Yeah, years ago. It's been over 10 years?
Listen,
12 years, 15 almost. I think 15 years now, Davina.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. But the thing about it is, you were just the type of person that just drew me into you. And all I could do, you were a couple of cubicles behind me. We both worked in education. I worked outside in the field, and Amy was in admissions inside. So I was also a professor at the same school. And so, my dealings were a little bit different. Sometimes I would be inside. Sometimes, they'd only know me from in meetings when everyone would have to get together. But I always liked Amy. And then, I've always told you I've done more than one thing at a time. So even when I was teaching, I was working full time, I was doing things. But even for my other job, which was also out in the fields and sales, not at the same time, but I was still teaching, I met you, and it would just happen to be at one of those meetings. And I'm like, oh, I like her. You're so welcoming and friendly, because sometimes if you're an adjunct professor and you're not there all the time, people don't know who you are. You're just like, yeah, all right. So, but when we started working in the same office, I would hear you talking to potential students, and you were so empathetic. They came in that building because of you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm still in admissions, as you know, and I really love what I do. So I'm very blessed in that respect. But no, and this is why I'm so excited that you asked me to do this today. And I know your background with everything that you're doing professionally and personally, Davina, but the emotional intelligence piece, which I've done a lot of work with Daniel Goleman and reading his books and all of that. So that's why I was really excited about this. But you go through different climates of your life. You're always going to have a rough road. Nothing is an easy journey, right?
That's true.
And so to me, I feel like, well, you can do a pity party for yourself and be stuck in a rut, or you said, hold on to that badge. Well, I don't want to. I don't want that. I want to have a plan of action. I know we spoke about that the other day.
Yes.
It's one thing to acknowledge it, which we mentioned earlier. It's very healthy to acknowledge your feelings.
Absolutely.
It's another thing to be drowning in that. And now you can't move forward, and now you can't work on the next phase or the next step or being successful. So these are two different things. And we all I've been guilty of it. It's like after a while.
How do you get, because, like I said, we've known each other for so many years, and we've known ups and downs professionally and personally in each other's lives. How did you get up the nerve or get up the motivation? What prompted you to say, okay, what I'm doing here in Michigan isn't working. I'm not, finding the success in the areas of my life, if I may share, romantically as well as professionally.
Absolutely.
And you had an opportunity to leave and you did it all by yourself. And I don't mean that people can't do it or don't do it by themselves, but so many people are afraid of leaving what they know, the people they know, the surroundings, the support that they've always had. They're afraid of leaving that to venture off into something that could be very beneficial for them, like you have. Talk about, doing things afraid or doing things without having all the answers.
I had been to Phoenix once when I worked with Powerhouse Gym. I was in the fitness industry for 20 years.
Yeah.
I went as a kid. I was 21, went to Phoenix for a long weekend working a trade show, and then moved when I 3 weeks shy of my 36th birthday.
Yeah.
So I picked up and left across the country. Of course, my mom and I've had family and friends support. Of course, you were at my going away party.
I sure was.
But I was not, I wasn't scared. I guess that's just me. I was ready. I was looking at it as an adventure, right?
Okay.
It's a whole new climate for me. It gives me a chance to, it was a promotion. So it was a job that I moved for.
Yeah.
Arizona would not have been top of my list. I'll be honest with you. I don't have any friends or family or did not know a single soul. So that part was a little scary, but I just, took a leap of faith, and I kind of viewed it as opposite of scary. I thought it was going to be a fun adventure. I'm going to meet new people. This is going to be a new opportunity.
You get to learn new surroundings.
Completely new surroundings. And I always had, I lived in Florida right out of high school. I don't know if I ever told you that I moved, I graduated at 17. I had a later birthday. And I moved to Florida, same thing. And, but it was short-lived. You're young, whatever. But I always thought it would be, why not live in a new place? Why not try it? You can always go home.
That's right. Home never leaves.
My parents, my siblings, all my family's in Michigan. I have one brother in Washington State. But I said, I know no matter what, it's going to be a great experience, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a failure or success.
It's going to be something you can learn from. That's why failure is good. And, talking about not being afraid to make a particular move, that's where opportunity comes from. I know for us moving here, we have found so much peace and opportunity to think and explore new things. The weather is so great coming from Michigan. Sorry, Midwesterners. And
no, it is.
It energizes you to do more. And,
Absolutely. I agree.
I remember when I first moved here, right?
Yep.
We're talking about the fitness industry and just recognizing that change is good. When I first moved here, I was 30 pounds heavier. And when I reached out to you to make sure that you were still in Arizona, you immediately came over. I couldn't believe how quickly you were like, oh my God.
I was so excited. I was like, Davina?
Like, Davina, I'm here. We're here. But you came over and you helped me, because what had happened in my transition, not unlike yours, not unlike many people's stories, the reason why they move or transition is because there was a necessity there. You almost don't have a choice. You're compelled in some way to make a change in your life. But you also came over and you worked out a fitness plan with me. And as I was trying to develop what really worked for me fitness wise, you were supportive. I would call you and send you my tracking information, and you would just like, yay. We have grown a whole lot closer.
Oh, yes.
Since being here.
Oh, I agree.
Although the potential was there always, we just didn't have the opportunity to act on it in the same way. But when I tell you, when things really matter, you've been there for me, and I hope I've been there for you.
100%.
And it's a testament to your emotional intelligence, Amy. Can I change the subject just a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Because you are always, you're a person who kind of lives like I would in my head if I were single or had been single for a long period of time, because I admire your ability to not have barriers.
Okay.
Well, here's what I mean. Not barriers and standards are two different things. So standards are standards, but barriers, I've seen you date many types of people, many people with different skill levels,
Yep.
from medicine to entrepreneurial to all different things. So I know that there isn't anything that's a barrier for you to find love. Um, what do you think? And I know you're in a great place right now, so
Oh, yeah.
we
Yeah,
can
no,
just
that's
talk about
fine.
in the past because
Yeah,
that's not
no,
the
no, no,
present.
that's okay.
Okay, but what kept you, I don't want to keep using the term motivated because I know it's the motivation for looking for a mate. Is you want everybody wants to be loved. But I hear so many women who get jaded, or so many women who think that there isn't an opportunity for them out there, or their Prince Charming doesn't exist. And I know that if you are patient and you are doing the things that make you a viable candidate for that Prince Charming, that he does exist. And if you're open, that Prince Charming could come in your life. What is the thing that kept you not being jaded? Or I never heard you talk negative about the dating scene. You only presented what it is that you were looking for. What were you thinking at that time? Because I think a lot of women need to understand that, what you say is very important to what your outcomes are going to be. Can you give some advice in that area?
Oh, absolutely. No, and I was in a long-term relationship, which I think you know of, in Michigan, that I thought was already gonna, we were gonna get married and we were gonna live happily ever after, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say jaded, but I did go through some bad times, like negative. You just
Yeah.
get down on yourself. But what I found, and actually it's funny, it does tie into emotional intelligence, is you really have to be happy with yourself and healthy mentally.
Yes.
Not that anyone's perfect, but I've noticed the times that I had a lot of problems with dating or not seeing anyone, it was that negativity. I was almost going into it expecting this first date or this
Yeah.
person I'm seeing for a month, it wasn't going to work out. I'm expecting
You
that.
already your
It was already
expectation was,
like a hovering negative cloud.
yeah.
And then I started a few years ago, I went through a big transition with hormones and
Yeah.
aging and weight.
And you
And
look fabulous, by the way.
thank you,
I'm telling
thyroid.
you,
And I,
Amy, and I'm going to
great.
digress just a moment. Amy,
Yeah.
you have the ability to transform your body. To me, and I know you
Yes.
worked in the fitness era for a long time.
And it
I'll never
stopped
forget.
working. It
Hmm?
stopped working. When late 30s, early
Yeah,
40s, I'm going
I
to tell
do know
you,
that
things
things
hit
that
you
used
and
to
things
work
start
don't work.
happening no matter how hard you're fighting it. So I went and saw a medical doctor,
Right.
and figured it out. And it's been a year and a half, and totally, I feel better. And I really feel not just physically how we look on the outside. You want to feel better. My
Well,
energy level.
self-confidence comes from within.
Exactly.
It
And
comes
I'm
from
going to tell you
within.
that's right when things started lining up. And I've dated and it hasn't worked out, but it was almost like it was getting better as far as my
Oh,
relationship.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what
I
I'm
could see
saying?
the
Like I was
trajectory.
growing. They weren't working out. It wasn't the right guy. But this
Yeah.
time around, I could see a little bit clearer of what happened. Why
And
didn't it work?
when I counsel single women, and we
Mm-hmm.
talk about, hey, the dating scene is hard out there. I'm not meeting the guy that I want. Dating online isn't working for me. And I say, you know what? I say, you're missing two things. The first thing is you are most attractive when you're doing the things that you want to do that bring happiness in your
Yes.
life. I know
Yes.
it's fitness for you. It's the little babies, the little chi-chis.
But chihuahuas, yo.
It's entertaining. It's being around people. It's celebrating. It's you love to go out to a great breakfast or brunch. You're that girly girl that likes to hang out with your girlfriends, and
Yes.
all of that because you're satisfied with where you go, your career, your beautiful home. All of those things make you have a brighter light inside. You're not, like so much worried about the outside because you're having more fulfillment inside. And so that makes you more attractive to the type of man who is either at that level, meaning maybe they are at that level career wise, but they are at least maturely ready or emotionally ready and looking for someone like you. So as you said, as you're developing, you're meeting more and more of the person that you're looking to be around. I think that is an awesome point to
You
make.
helped me a
So,
lot when you first moved here. I don't know if you remember, you and I were at the pool, at your pool,
yeah,
talking about it. And I really, at a younger age, and I don't know if it's just the Midwest and the way that we, everybody goes to school and then you meet somebody and you get married and you have a
yeah,
family, and that's what
that's
you
the
do in the
plan.
Midwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you and I were talking, and you said to me, you said, just go on a date. You're not marrying this guy tonight. And I remember that years ago. And it really put things in perspective. Not that I want to go out and date every Tom, Dick, and Harry and
Yeah,
go around, but I'm thinking I'm putting, 10 carts before the horse here. Why am I
yes,
not enjoying? I have so many blessings. Why am I not enjoying myself? Like,
yes, exactly.
so I just kind of checked myself with a bad date, or if something didn't happen the way it was supposed to, and just kind of put yourself back in reality. But you're right. When you are happy with yourself and content with yourself, and I stay busy too with my girlfriends,
Yeah,
or all friends, I should say,
all
not just
friends.
girlfriends,
Yeah,
but I travel, I go and do events, and we do brunches, and we meet for things. And I think when you are happy, it just exudes, genuinely happy, it exudes from
yes.
you, and that attracts others,
And
right?
not to say that you're not supposed to work on your body and on your appearance and create the life that's all in creating the life that you desire. It's what you're
Yes.
surrounded with. It's the confidence you feel when you walk in a room.
Yes.
Listen, yes, you're supposed to be a great and kind person, but if you're going to be attractive to someone, you got to be attractive to them. You have
Oh,
to work on becoming
yes.
attractive. And I think that glow is so much better than just the attractiveness alone, that satisfaction where you can be emotionally ready for the relationship without looking for this person to fulfill all of the things that aren't there, because they are not responsible for your happiness. You're
Yeah.
responsible for your happiness.
I was just having this conversation recently with a good friend of mine, who's dealing with some things herself,
Mm-hmm.
with dating. And I actually said that to her. I said, someone else cannot make you happy if you're not happy with yourself. And it's a very cliche,
Yeah.
statement, but it is so true. And when I just noticed that probably earlier this year or last year, when I met a few guys, and I was like, oh, this is really going well, and I really like this. But then we got, after a few weeks or something, and I'm like, oh, he's just not ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
And now that makes me self-analyze. Well, am I? And then I do a little bit more of a self-assessment. Where am I
Yes.
at? What do I need? What are the basic tenets that I need in a relationship? Am I working on that? Am I where I'm at emotionally? Am I healthy emotionally? So
Absolutely.
I think you learn from others too, even though it might be not a great situation, or, maybe not
You
something that
definitely learn.
will
And
work
that
out.
gestation period, you do
Yep.
need a period to get to know someone. And as women, we do start that fantasy the moment we
Yes.
meet somebody, like they say three things that resonate with us, and they are attractive to us, and they might do a little something tweak or something that no one else does. And you're like, oh, okay, I see us on vacation. I see us having dinner. What would our home look like? We jump so far ahead, and we don't even know this person because we're only seeing their representative.
Exactly. What
And
they
that's
want
normal.
us to see.
Look, Amy, like, yes, I have watched your relationships, and I have seen those relationships become more and more of a match, in my opinion, to your personality and drive. So I am just so proud and happy that you exude that brightness that brings people to you, all walks of life, and that you are really a person that is a joy to be around. Now,
Oh,
with that being said,
okay.
giving everybody their flowers right now, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, is there an emotional trait that you want to work on, or that you are working to develop in a different way?
Yes. And there has been for many years.
Okay.
It's something I've been working on. I pray about. Just preface this a while ago. I was in retail. I was a retail manager for years. And one of my district managers, she was my big top supervisor, gave me a piece of advice. It's stuck in my head. I still remind myself today, respond, don't react. So if anybody knew my parents or my family, I'm 100% German, both sides. I have one parent that's a short temper, and the other one, it develops.
Yes.
But we're all very, very social people. We're very, very passionate and intense. So I happen to be very fiery sometimes.
Okay.
And I come across sometimes more abrasive than I mean to, or more aggressive than I mean to. So I literally have to say to myself, even now, whether I've been a manager or an advisor or a trainer or a friend or family member, I have to tell myself, wait a second. Okay, take a breath. You want to respond, not react. And I literally tell myself that today, and I fail. I fail all the time at it.
But you still know about it and you're still working on it.
Yes, now that I'm aware, I have been aware. And there are days that I lose it, right? We lose it.
Yes.
And then there's days where I'm like, okay, Amy, you're doing better. You're taking a breath. You're not going to say anything. You're going to go for a little walk, or you're going to, do whatever you need to do to settle down with whatever it may be. And then when I'm a little bit more clear-headed, whatever the matter is, then I can come back to it. Now, I am far from perfect. Okay. So this is it's a journey, but that's what I'm trying to not get so worked up or fiery. And I know that that's directly emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
You having control of your emotions. And I think we as a nation, okay, I feel like we have all these rights, right? I can do this, and I'm allowed to say this, and I'm allowed to do that. Sometimes you just don't need to say and express every single thing we're thinking.
Sometimes the smartest thing you could do is shut up.
Exactly. And I know that.
Shut up. Shut up's not always a nice word. No, but I mean shut up, because you have to put a lid on it right then. Yeah. You don't have the opportunity to take words back. And when they can influence a situation for the negative, you need to be intentional with your words. Yes. And that's why I developed a process called the self-gut check, because you have to check yourself inside before you say something outside. Amy, you hit it right on the head. You hit it directly on the head. Tell me real quick before we have to go. Okay. What is a dream that you have right now that you're working on? Something so far-fetched that it would take a miracle for you to do. Even if you're just considering it right now and you haven't made the first step, what is something that's going to stretch your imagination and stretch your dreams?
I think you and I have talked. So I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to have several streams of income way before the retiring age. 60,
yes,
65,
absolutely.
I want to not retire, but from a formal 9-to-5 job.
Yes.
At a young age. I want 50, 55, something like that. Absolutely. I want to have several streams of income. I want to have 10 streams of income. That's not my 9-to-5, your residual, or however you want to do it. So I can literally be on a beach in Tahiti with my laptop and a cocktail and Chico and Chi-Chi at my feet.
All right. Well, I'll be there with you, because that's my whole thing. If you read the book, or if you've watched or participated in the challenge, I talk about that. Yeah. My whole idea of the environment that I want to create is an environment and a work style where I work from anywhere around the world on my computer. So if someone else is doing it, then we're doing it too. And that's what we're setting up to do.
Yep. That's my goal. It's like me and you next to each other with our bathing suits and our laptops.
That's right. We've done it before. We'll do it again. Amy, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it, Davina.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, tune in every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be sharing more with my wonderful guests and myself about emotional intelligence and how you can apply it to your life. You can also go to my website, www.davinadandridge.com. You can learn more about me, what I talk about, and I will let you know when I'll start another emotional reset challenge. If you're interested in learning how you can control your emotions and become